Joining me today for this World Health Day conversation are Serge Kemps and Annick from Nipro, a global leader in the response to chronic diseases. We're here to discuss how Nipro is addressing the global rise in chronic conditions and the disparities in access to care, placing a strong focus on prevention, innovation and training. Thank you both so much for joining me this Monday morning. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Will. And today is World Health Day, and World Health Day is such a timely moment, not just to raise awareness, but also really to commit to action.
Yeah, we're excited to be part of it because health truly is everyone's business.
To your question, Will, we're seeing more people live longer, but often with serious conditions like diabetes and kidney failure or cardiovascular disease and many others. And in many regions, those conditions actually go undetected until, unfortunately, it becomes too late. At Nipro, we believe that health should be a right, not just a privilege, and definitely not just a privilege to elite people or what have you. And that's why our mission is very clear: to help people live longer and live better, but everywhere around the world. So headquartered in Osaka, Japan, we operate across four main areas. We do medical devices, pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical packaging, and regenerative medicine. But our approach is really unified by one idea. We really must serve patients, healthcare professionals, and society at large. And that is rooted in what is typically called a Japanese business philosophy that guides us. The philosophy is called Sampo Yoshi, literally translated into triple win or good for all parties. And in our case, means good for the seller, good for us, good for the buyer, our customers, but also good for society. And that's all of the patients involved. All parties need to benefit from what we do. So what does that mean in practice? It means we invest in prevention, in training, and in developing solutions that truly improve lives. And whether it's helping someone manage diabetes at home or supporting complex hospital treatments, we want to be there for them across the entire journey.
Well, one of the clearest examples is our work in renal care. Chronic kidney disease often progresses without symptoms. And that's why we proudly supported the Global World Kidney Day campaign. Are your kidneys okay? Get tested today. Now, we didn't create the campaign, but as a sponsor of World Kidney Day, we heavily promoted it across the entire Nipro world. From Latin America to Belgium, South Africa, India, and Malaysia. We shared images of colleagues and patients everywhere, rallying together to raise awareness. But awareness alone isn't enough. We support full treatment with our dialysis systems, dialyzers, and vascular access products. We also offer hands-on, practical training through our IMAP centers, Nipro's Medical Institute for Medical Practice, of which we have a few in the world. That's how we empower doctors and nurses with the skills and confidence to deliver the best possible care, using the technology we provide. It's the combination of tools and training that truly makes a difference. And more than that, we look at the full picture. Not just treating more patients, but helping them get better results with less burden on the system. This is what's known in our industry as value-based care. It means focusing on what truly improves patient health, better outcomes, fewer complications, and smarter use of resources.
Outstanding. Very well thought out and truly holistic approach. That's fantastic. So how is Nipro addressing the global burden of diabetes, a major human health problem, not just through treatment, but by supporting people across the full care journey from diagnosis to daily life? So I think you guys are involved in a real end-to-end process there, aren't you, which is fantastic.
True. And diabetes doesn't just affect blood sugar. Over time, it causes blood vessel damage, which can lead to serious cardiovascular events and also puts the kidney function at risk. And these conditions aren't isolated. They feed into each other. High blood sugar leads to high blood pressure. High blood pressure strains the kidneys. Impaired kidney function increases cardiovascular risk. It's a vicious cycle. That's exactly why Nipro's role isn't to treat one condition in isolation. We aim to be a full solution provider across that chain. We're active in diabetes diagnostics, we support cardiovascular prevention through imaging, and we offer a full ecosystem for renal care.
And let me elaborate a little bit further on what Serge has just mentioned before on us supporting the World Kidney Day. Indeed, that campaign this year was run, Are Your Kidneys Okay? Get tested today. And again, he said we didn't create a campaign. There is a full organization behind, but we supported it. We were running with the questions, what should you know about your kidneys being okay? What are it was a 1 minute quiz, 8 questions for people just to think about, to answer, and then also some tips and tricks, what to do. And I remember being at the mannequin piss in Belgium. That's the little boy that urinates. And I was talking to a lot of children there and asking them, well, it's World Kidney Day today. Do you know what a kidney is? Do you know what it does? And there were so many people still unaware. And I think we've created quite some awareness there. And Serge will now explain to you what you should know or how you can get easily tested.
Now, this might get a little technical here, but there are two main indicators for kidney function. There is the serum creatinine, which is measured via a blood test and used to calculate what is called EGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rates.
EGFR, right?
EGFR, yeah. And below 60, when you get a result below 60, that may indicate CKD. And the other one is albumin to creatinine ratio, or UACR, a urine test showing if protein is leaking into the urine, which is an early sign of damage. Now, I have to admit, before I started working with Nipro, I wasn't also very conscious of my kidneys. These days, I often ask people, though, do you know what your last EGFR was? Or have you ever had your urine tested for protein? And most people, unfortunately, haven't, but they should.
So our commitment to prevention goes beyond kidney health. For example, we offer vascular imaging systems that allow doctors to detect early signs of cardiovascular risk. These things do exist. These tools can help, and I swear it's true, can help predict whether someone is likely to experience a major cardiac event within the next 2 years. This kind of screening is far more standard in Japan than it is elsewhere in the world. And obviously, we would love to see that change happening also here.
Absolutely. And I was thinking, awareness is key here, right? We wouldn't have these silent epidemics if more people were aware of the potential risks and took, preventative actions and measures to ensure they didn't develop. So on to chronic kidney disease. Now, it's often called a silent epidemic, as indeed is diabetes, as far as I understand. So how does Nipro raise awareness, support early detection, and also care for dialysis patients around the world? How are you getting this message out to people?
Yeah. Good question, Will. Thank you for asking this. Maybe to start with, to give you a number, to give you a scale, right, an idea. CKD, as I said, or chronic kidney disease, affects more than 850 million people worldwide. And yet, many don't even know that they have it. And that's why it's called, or I really call it, as this silent epidemic. Right? It progresses quietly, without symptoms, until it may become too late. I don't want to say it is too late, but until it may become too late. And when treatment is necessary, people need to know that they're in good hands. And that's where our role becomes truly life-sustaining. And a little bit of insight, did you know that a dialyzer is often called an artificial kidney? And that's because it mimics what the real kidney does. So that's why the word artificial, right? It filters toxins and excess fluid from the blood. Inside every so-called dialyzer or artificial kidney that we manufacture are thousands and thousands of tiny hollow fibers. And blood flows through these fibers on one side, and a cleaning fluid flows on the other. Waste products gently then will pass through a membrane, just like in a real kidney. It's truly, and I'm not being humble now as I say it because I'm very proud of it, but it is a biomedical work of art.
Now, that dedication to quality and care is something we take very seriously at Nipro. Every single day, 200,000 people trust a Nipro dialyzer as their lifeline. What do we provide? We provide dialysis machines that are intuitive and precise, dialyzers with advanced membrane technology, vascular access tools, as well as digital platforms for clinical support. And it's not just about devices. We're helping build integrated care environments where all these elements work together to make life better for patients.
Yeah, and let me build on that, on those patients, because many people may not realize this, but imagine being a patient. Imagine needing dialysis 3 times a week, every week for years. Such a treatment takes about 3 to 4 hours. It's not just a procedure for those patients. For those patients, it's a lifestyle. So we aim to focus on their ease and their dignity. Our machines are quiet, efficient, and comfortable. And we design having the patient, the nurse, the technician, everybody that has to work and operate these machines in mind, even the environment. And if I may share a personal story, like why dialysis, why nephrology? I once asked a nephrologist that I was traveling with in Spain why she chose her specialty. And she told me it was a no-brainer. It's the specialty that gets you closest to people. I see my patients a few times a week for many years. I know their families. I even ask them for recipes. I know them, Annick, she told me, all of them. And that story I will always take with me. And it reminded me that this isn't just about a treatment. It's about human connection as well.
Should we continue, or I'm looking at?
Excellent. We're still waiting for Jill to join us, so let's finish off that segment, and then when she does, we can jump over to her. So yeah, good question. Let's finish off the segment, and then we can connect with Jill when she's ready to join us.
All right.
So yeah, all yours.
And we make sure professionals are equipped to give that level of care. We're extremely proud of our IMAP training programs, in which we support nurses and physicians with practical skills and confidence. And by the way, if they are unable to come to our training centers, we also provide online remote training. Or we even come to you with our IMAP on the Move program. And we put really a lot of efforts in our trainings and try to reach as many healthcare professionals as we can. Because we truly believe that the best outcomes come from empowered people using trusted technology.
So therefore, we imagine a future where dialysis is smarter with AI-supported decisions, more sustainable in how it uses resources, and more human in how it supports life. Every improvement we make is a step to that future.
Outstanding, sounding fantastic. And yeah, Joe's just messaged me. Jill's a little delayed getting into the studio, but that actually works in our favor because we've got a lot to get through, and I feel we're really in the flow here. So that's fantastic. So let's move on to the next question. And kudos, Annick. This is a very well put together piece, so very well thought through. So very impressive. So now we're going to talk about interconnectedness. So we've done pieces this year on obesity and it's linked to diabetes. We've done pieces on diabetes and its consequences. So, DPN, diabetic peripheral neuropathy, DR, diabetic retinopathy. And, that suggests to me, an interconnectedness, doesn't it, between conditions, but also, an interconnectedness between organs, which, again, most people probably aren't aware of. So, why is it so critical to connect the dots between diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and kidney failure? A link most people probably wouldn't make intuitively. And how does Nipro combine prevention and therapy across these conditions? So, I guess firstly, how are they connected? And secondly, what do you guys do to treat them as a sort of holistic set, I suppose?
Yeah, good question. It's true, we often talk about prevention, and of course, that is really essential. But we're just as committed to what comes next, because when a diagnosis is made, patients need confidence in what's available to treat them.
Exactly. And that is why we're proud to be more than a diagnostics provider. For example, in cardiovascular care, we don't just support early detection through our vascular imaging, as I mentioned before, but we also support physicians during treatments. Our solutions help them prepare the vessels and support healing afterwards. It's what we call see more, know more for diagnosis, and prep more the vessel and heal more for therapy.
And when it comes to renal care, we're proud to bring Japanese quality to the world. When someone is on dialysis, they can count on us to provide the best products and systems available, backed by decades of experience and a culture of continuous improvement. Now, what truly sets us apart is our full circle ecosystem approach. We develop, we manufacture, and we supply every single element of dialysis therapy, from the water treatment systems that ensure purity, to the needle that accesses the bloodstream, to the machine that pumps and manages blood flow, to the dialyzer, which is, as Annick said, the artificial kidney that filters waste, to the bloodlines, and finally, the digital system that manages treatment settings and outcomes. And we want to make that therapy seamless, efficient, and as intuitive as possible for those delivering care, because their experience has a direct impact on patient outcomes. And we also know that dialysis isn't one size fits all. We offer both hemodialysis and hemodiafiltration therapy options, depending on what's best for the patient and the country's clinical practice. And this flexibility helps us adapt care to local guidelines, infrastructure, and patient needs.
Yeah, and that same mindset applies to the products themselves as well. We had launched our Class 5 dialyzer, which up until then was only available in Japan. It's a dialyzer that embodies the golden standard of Japanese quality, and we are proud to now share that level of precision and performance with the rest of the world. Additionally, through our IMAP centers, we provide continuous medical education, allowing the healthcare professionals to regularly refresh their knowledge and stay up to date with evolving practices, such as those novel dialyzers, novel machines. And in our simulation rooms, they can then practice procedures and emergency responses in a safe, controlled environment, so that when the moment is there, that they find themselves in a very urgent situation, they are ready to act with clarity and confidence. And that includes simulation-based training, so they are prepared to act with skill and speed. And especially in those moments when the speed is there, when they are in a very urgent situation.
In the end, health is a journey. And whether we're enabling early insight or supporting frontline care or helping improve recovery, we really see it as our responsibility to walk alongside both healthcare professionals and patients.
Outstanding. Excellent. So on to the next question. Hospital-acquired infections remain a risk, particularly for vulnerable patients. Now, hospitals are wonderful and do fantastic work, but, you can go in, be vulnerable after an operation, for example, and pick up a secondary or tertiary infection, which can again worsen health. So, how does Nipro help reduce exposure and build smarter, safer care environments? Again, back to the holistic picture. How do you address that aspect?
Yeah. Well, Bill, you'll agree with me that if there's one place where people should feel as safe as possible, it must be hospitals. But there is a reality. Hospital-acquired infections remain, unfortunately, a serious concern worldwide, and especially for patients whose immune systems are already somehow compromised. When someone is recovering from surgery or undergoing oncology treatment, or simply when a person is very weak, they are in a vulnerable state. They should never have to deal with additional complications. And that's where infection control becomes critical to protecting their recovery, safety, and again, dignity.
Now, this is where Nipro's role truly comes to life. Infection control isn't just a matter of procedure, it's a matter of design. Every decision we make, from product development to application in real clinical settings, is aimed at reducing risks and building confidence.
And to this end, one of our flagship solutions is the CL Fine system. It's a Nipro innovation that uses ionless hypochlorous acid water, that's a mouthful. It's been scientifically proven to disinfect and reduce bacteria and viruses by 99.9999%. What makes CL Fine unique is that it works in the air, on hard-to-reach spaces, and on hard surfaces, making it a highly effective tool for infection control across various care environments. And what's more, it's kinder to materials. Unlike traditional disinfectants, CL Fine does not cause any corrosion on medical instruments or surfaces. It is as effective as bleach, but without the harsh smells or damaging side effects.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why a solution like CL Fine really stands out. It's not just about disinfecting a space, it's about creating an environment of trust. Because when healthcare professionals know that their surroundings are sanitized effectively, yet safely, without corroding their instruments or overwhelming room with chemicals, they can focus entirely on delivering care. And that peace of mind translates directly to better outcomes and a safer healing space.
And for some, that safer healing space isn't the hospital room at all. It's in the comfort of their own home. And that's why we also focus on portability and flexibility. Take our SureFuser pump. This device allows for continuous infusion therapy, like people who need to have an IV drip like antibiotics or a chemotherapy in a completely mobile way. That means fewer hospital stays, lower risk of cross-infection, and a better quality of life for those patients.
Now, especially if you think about immunocompromised patients or those recovering from cancer treatment or surgery, that flexibility makes a real difference. Being able to heal in a protected, familiar space while still receiving high-quality therapy is a huge step forward in patient-centered care. We've seen firsthand how rethinking the setting of care, not just the technology, can improve outcomes and dramatically create peace of mind.
Listen, it comes down to this. You shouldn't have to choose between effective treatment and safe delivery. Our mission is to make sure that you get both, with systems that support the people delivering care just as much as those receiving it.
Outstanding. And now into the fine details. So, advanced drug delivery and also packaging solutions, which subtleties a lot of people probably don't consider. So, how is Nipro using advanced drug delivery and also packaging solutions to ensure safer and faster care, both inside and outside the hospitals, because obviously it's great to have a drug that works, but it's got to be delivered to be effective, and it's also got to be packaged effectively in order to ensure that as well. So how are you going about addressing those two concerns?
Yeah, good point. We're stepping into the other part where Nipro makes or tries to make a difference. So far, we talked about the medical side of care, but as we all know too well, medications are essential in nearly every treatment plan. And that's the other side of Nipro, where we are deeply involved in the pharmaceutical space. Through Nipro Pharma, we produce pharmaceutical drugs and collaborate closely with major pharmaceutical companies as their contract manufacturer. And that partnership gives us then a deeper understanding of what's needed from a medical standpoint, complementing what we already know from working so closely with healthcare professionals and patients around the world. But of course, it doesn't stop there. Once those drugs are formulated, they still need to be packaged, like you just said, Will. And that's where then Nipro Pharma Packaging comes in. We strive to be as vertically integrated as possible. We don't just make medical devices, we also make the drug themselves and even the pharmaceutical packaging.
Well, and at Nipro Pharma Packaging, we manage every step of the packaging journey, from melting bare sand into glass tubes to converting those tubes into glass vials, pre-filled syringes, and pen injectors. This level of control allows us to ensure not just sterility and compatibility, but also precision, quality, and total reliability from start to finish. As a matter of fact, we also work hand in hand with pharma partners to optimize drug container compatibility, making sure that what's inside remains stable and well protected throughout its shelf life. That means a strong focus on barrier performance and long-term reliability, especially for biologics and sensitive therapies.
It's a great example of how Nipro isn't just present in one part of the care, journey. We're involved in every layer, from production to packaging to delivery. We are behind the scenes, making sure the therapies are safe, effective, and seamlessly supported. And we actually nearly forgot one more product section. I'm quite convinced that many listeners here today have had their blood drawn at one point in time, or have received an injection or undergone an infusion. And chances are that this happened probably with a Nipro needle. We are a leading global manufacturer of needles, using high precision techniques with medical grade plastics and metals. And while we talked about transforming raw materials like sand into glass vials, it's just one example of how Nipro builds high-end products from the ground up, and that is needles included.
That's absolutely true, Annick. It's one of those quiet strengths of Nipro, something small, but really essential to healthcare. And it is trusted by professionals all over the world.
Outstanding. Now, regenerative medicine, I think, is something which is getting more into the public consciousness. We did a great piece the other day on COPD and using stem cell treatments to regenerate the lungs in cases of chronic, pulmonary disorder, lung disorders. So, it's very much transforming healthcare in a meaningful and, efficacious way. So, what promise does it hold for the future for those that aren't aware of the concept? And how is Nipro contributing to these advancements and this, significant emerging area of medicine?
Yeah. When we talk about the future of care, regenerative medicine is one of the most promising and emotionally powerful frontiers, because it's not just about managing symptoms, it's about helping the body truly heal.
Exactly. And at Nipro, we're actively contributing to this field. Now, in Japan, we work closely with universities and research institutions to bring scientific progress to patients. One example, for instance, is Temirac. It's a regenerative therapy for patients with spinal cord injury.
I'm happy to say that Stimirac is already available in 20 different hospitals in Japan, and we've seen the most beautiful stories unfold. I'll never forget this one. A man who was completely paralyzed from the neck down after an accident, and he is now walking again. And we've seen videos of him more than just walking. He is now playing the piano again.
I also remember the 12-year-old child, also paralyzed, who is now running and jumping again. And these aren't just clinical successes, they're human milestones.
Of course, regenerative therapy takes time and it takes resources. But to witness these stories firsthand is genuinely heart-wrenching in the best way. It reminds us why we do what we do. And when we say live longer, live better, this is the very definition of the latter. It's about restoring joy, dignity, and quality of life.
And to me, this is only the beginning. From spinal injuries to restoring vascular or even corneal tissue, we're committed to bringing these breakthroughs to the people who need them most.
We have such high hopes that what are now considered incurable diseases may one day become treatable or even curable. I think all of us must carry someone in our minds, a family member, a friend, where we've thought, oh, if only. And both Serge and I have somebody in mind, I can tell you. But that if only. And that's what drives this work forward. It's not just innovation, it's hope made tangible.
You see, when science meets compassion, it doesn't just extend life. It brings life back in ways we once thought impossible. And that makes you wonder, what else might be possible in the years to come?
Absolutely. And I was thinking just before we do the final question, it's these tangible examples, isn't it? The sort of human stories that make it so worthwhile and bring it to life. And, from my own experience, my daughter, my youngest, has hypothyroidism, which in her age category is considered, a rare condition. So we're very well aware, both professionally and as a family as well, how important these solutions are. So just to give even more sort of colour and context to the piece, would you both feel comfortable sort of sharing your own stories? I think you both said you had an example in mind. That might be quite a nice addition if you're happy to do that.
Yeah, definitely. This is where it does get emotional, obviously. But that's also why I'm very passionate about what we're doing. My hopes are that one day, I have to swallow, where one day Alzheimer would or could be cured. It's painful to see your direct relatives struggling. I see this happening with my father, that where he is sometimes completely absent. And that's something that I would hope that regenerative medicine over time could make a difference, because it's just scary. You see these things happening to your loved ones. You start making promises to your own children. I don't want you to have to witness this, and this is where I have most hopes.
Absolutely. And Serge, what's your example?
Well, as Annick and I are of the same age, we are basically confronted with similar situations. Also, with my grandmother, I experienced this, as well as with my parents. I see that this is also coming my way. And of course, being active in the healthcare industry, we try by all possible means to prevent this. And sometimes it's stronger than ourselves, but obviously we as in charge, or helping together with all the colleagues in the company and the peer companies as well, we should do everything possible to try to prevent this. And that's why every single day counts in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just as a point of interest, we did a fantastic podcast with Enabled Therapeutics the other day over in San Diego. and Sarah Isbell, who's their CSO and CEO. She was CSO, she's become CEO just to sort of push the drug development forward. But they're working on a groundbreaking Alzheimer's treatment. So I'd be happy to share that podcast with you if you'd both like to have a listen.
Yeah.
She's shared it on her sort of LinkedIn and her YouTube. So if you'd like me to share a copy of that with you both, just so you can have a listen, because
Yeah.
it's a remarkable treatment, and I think there's great hope in that sector. But as you say, it's pushing the diagnostics forward, isn't it, and making sure all those drugs get to the people who need them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'll ask Joe to get the engineer to get a copy of that into our Dropbox, and we're
Super.
happy to share that with you. It's fascinating listening. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, you've both done brilliantly. So on to the final question for this
Yeah.
particular segment of the session. Now, as we look towards 2050, which will be here before we know it, I'm sure, how will innovation, prevention, and digital health reshape care? And what role does Nipro see for itself in building that future? Apparently, we're currently sort of 10xing advancements. So currently, there are 10 years worth of AI developments happening in the space of a year, according to Sam Altman. So that's a significant number of years of advancement, 150 by that metric by 2050. So what are we looking at? What does the picture look like from your perspective?
Yeah. If there's one thing that we've learned from this journey, it's that the future of care isn't just technological, it's personal. We're entering an era where prevention happens before symptoms appear, where data, as you said, will enable smarter decisions, and where care becomes more connected, more accessible, but also more human.
And Nipro is fully committed to being part of that transformation, whether it's through smarter dialysis systems, AI-supported decision tools, or seamless integration between medical devices and digital platforms. In fact, we see ourselves not just as manufacturers, but also as enablers of better care.
And you know where you can really see this? I'm so excited to share this with you. The Osaka Expo of 2025 is opening this week. On the 13th of April, it'll officially open. And since we're headquartered in Osaka, we are also proud to be showcasing our solutions at the Osaka Healthcare Pavilion. So for us, it's more than a world event because it focuses on 2050. It's a moment to show what then healthcare in 2050 could look like. So we gave this some really serious thought. What we'll be highlighting there are three key pillars: prevention, digital health, and regenerative medicines, and how that combination of those, can help people live not just longer, but also better.
And while we're proud of what we're building, we of course know that the future of healthcare won't be built by one company alone. It will require collaboration across industries, borders, and mindsets. Because it's very true that no single organization can solve these global challenges in isolation.
At Nipro, we've always believed in partnerships, in purpose, very much, very, very, very much purpose and progress. And if there's one message we'd like to leave you with today, is this: if you take care of prevention, and we'll help you to do that, we'll be there with the right solutions when treatment will be needed.
Whether this is dialysis, regenerative medicine, smart drug delivery, or infection control, we don't just make devices, we really make a difference.
I'm going to make a little bit of promotion still for the Osaka Healthcare Expo. If you want to see firsthand what 2050 will look like, you'll get this in a beautiful, typical Japanese anime where a girl meets her future mom. And I cannot tell anymore because it's still secretive. I need to also keep Serge on his toes for the April 13th big reveal. But to close up, through education, commitment, and a deep, deep sense of purpose and responsibility, We will do everything we can to live up to our promise, which is live longer, live better. And on this World Health Day, let's not just reflect, but let's act. Let's continue working together to create a world where health is really a right. And as we started this podcast, a right, not a privilege. So we warmly invite you, on my last note, to visit us at the Expo 2025 in Osaka to discover how we envision life and health in 2050. We'll be there, ready to share, ready to listen, and ready to shape the future together.
Outstanding. Annick Summers and Serge Kemp from Nipro, thank you so much for joining us today.